A language unrelated to any other at the time, with many rulers, titles, and gods with Indo-European names, which has led to much speculation on their origin. The Hittites learned much from the Mitanni, going from student to master. The Hittites may have not invented the sophisticated piece of machinery that was the spoke-wheeled chariot, but they perfected its design. Their large three-man chariots were fast as well as stable, and excelled at the charge and infantry, while most chariots of the day focused on being a lightning-fast archer's platform. The Hittite chariot was the terror of the age, and proved pivotal when the son of the murdered Mitanni king sought refuge in Hattusha. He married Suppiluliuma's daughter, and his new father-in-law conquered the western half of the Mitanni Empire and installed him as a puppet king there for a short time. The Mitanni and the Egyptians had been close allies, and had intermarried over the preceding generations. It appeared that an even more unique arrangement would be made between the Hittite and Egyptian empires. The widowed pharaoh's wife requested that Suppiluliuma send one of his sons.
Both of them are our enemies. That's the main most high got out of Eastern. That's what we'll play the Eastern. Both of our enemies.
For her to marry and sit on the throne of Egypt, becoming pharaoh. The dumbfounded Hittite king sent his son, after sending emissaries to confirm the request, was in fact for real. His son was murdered right after crossing the Egyptian border by a faction opposed to the Dowager Queen. How different history might have been if the marriage had taken place. Instead, they went to war. The Hittites moved deep into Egyptian territory and brought back many captives and plunder back to Hattusha. And the captives brought with them plague that wiped out a large portion of the empire's population, including Suppiluliuma and his successor in the same year. Suppiluliuma's youngest son, Mursili II, then took the throne. He lost a father and eventually 3 brothers and a beloved wife to the plague that lasted for years. The Hittites believed that their land was cursed because Suppiluliuma had come to power by murdering his brother, breaking the law of Telepinu. Those believed to be practicing witchcraft were also punished by execution or banishment, such as Suppiluliuma's Babylonian widow and high priestess. On top of this, Mursili had to deal with rebellions in Syria, Mesopotamia, the Arzawa lands, and the Kashkas, whom he campaigned against 10 times during his reign. Despite the cavalcade of endless setbacks, Mursili managed to keep the empire together, and even solidified the tributary status of nearly all of Anatolia. The plague eventually ceased, and during the reign of Mursili's son, the stabilized empire resumed full-scale war with Egypt, and clashed at Kadesh, in what is the largest battle of the Bronze Age we have an account of, where many tens of thousands of men and over 7,000 chariots clashed. The Hittites commanded a coalition of troops from 19 vassal states at the battle. Both sides declared victory in the aftermath. However, it is telling that the peace treaty was favorable to the Hittites, with the Egyptians recognizing Hittite territorial gains. It took 15 years to negotiate this peace with Egypt, and was observed faithfully by both parties afterwards. Over the next 100 years, the older major empires were primarily concerned with the containment of the aggressive Assyrians, and joined together in enforcing a strict trade embargo against them. The Hittites clashed with the Assyrians in major battles, fighting over the ruins of the Mitanni Empire. Assyria gained the upper hand, which greatly damaged the Hittites' prestige. Western Anatolia then engaged in rebellions and frequent coalitions against the Hittites. If the Trojan War were to have taken place, it would have taken place near this time, and may have involved the Hittites. In the early 12th century BC, Mycenaean Greece likely fell victim to a combination of internal unrest, attacks from the north, and raids by a confederation of marauders the Egyptians called the People of the Sea. It appears that some of the Mycenaeans, who the Hittites called Ahiawa, joined them after being victims of their raids, and Ramses III of Egypt credits these sea people with the destruction of the Hittite Empire. Many modern scholars believe that the collapsing Western Anatolian former vassal states of the Hittites also joined in, as well as the Kashkas taking revenge on their old foe. The massive metropolis of Hattusha would go up in flames. This collapse, however, was not complete, as many city-states in the southeast survived, known today as the Neo-Hittites. They were ruled over by the descendants of Suppiluliuma for hundreds of years, and maintained many aspects of Hittite culture, religion, and language. These people are mentioned sporadically in the Old Testament of the Bible, such as Uriah the Hittite. This has been Epimetheus. If you enjoyed this video, I think you will enjoy the videos I have made on the Hittite Bronze Age contemporaries, such as Babylon, Mitanni, Mycenae, and the Sea People.
Yeah, well, time all him our enemies, time all them our enemies too. So with that, I'm gonna give his honor, I'll praise the 50, because he's one with us too with that sound on both, bro.